You know, one of the questions we've been asking during this historic anti-vaccine era around the world because of the COVID vaccines is anti-vax going to start to bleed over to more general vaccine opposition, not just the COVID vaccine? What about measles? What about MMR and others? And so far, the answer appears to be, unfortunately, yes. And this was very predictable. There's a good article in The Guardian. Measles cases surged nearly 80% in the wake of COVID chaos, with fears other diseases could follow. UNICEF says virus is canary in the coal mine that shows up. I think it's supposed to say shows us the gaps in vaccination campaigns for preventable illness. Measles cases have surged nearly 80% worldwide amid disruption caused by COVID, the UN says. The coronavirus pandemic has interrupted vaccination campaigns for non-COVID diseases around the world, creating a perfect storm that could put millions of children's lives at risk. Measles is a disease caused by a virus that attacks mainly children. Vaccination uptake of at least 95% is the way to avoid it spreading. Some countries fall short of that goal, Somalia at just 46%. There's also concerns about whether yellow fever could surge. There are concerns about the Ukrainian invasion by Russia and the effect that could have. The UN says 57 vaccination campaigns in 43 countries have been postponed. So this is focusing on access. But the problem is we saw outbreaks in the United States of measles before the COVID pandemic. So the point here is basically twofold. Because of the pandemic, there have been campaigns of vaccination that have been interrupted. And they tell us how quickly you can see outbreaks of something as contagious as measles, which in particular is a problem among children. In the United States, a big sort of battle line on the anti-vax front is the vaccination of children. Before we even had the COVID vaccines and this controversy, we had some pretty good sized measles outbreaks. There was the Disneyland one in California. There were some religious sects in New York City where we were seeing outbreaks. There was one in Italy, a couple others that I can't remember. These outbreaks were in part based on the idea that parents didn't want to vaccinate their kids. Now, with measles, understand how critical that is, particularly when it's so contagious that you need to be vaccinating 95%. It is a concern right now that we are going to start seeing as more and more kids come up for vaccination boosters for other diseases, or as more and more kids are born and it's time for them to get the shots that babies get in the first 6 months. We are almost certainly going to see some more general vaccine hesitancy on the basis of COVID vaccine hesitancy, and it's going to lead to more of some of these diseases. And the measles pre-COVID example is one of the best ones. Just small areas where they said, I don't want to vaccinate my kid against measles. And they had outbreaks, and it's very serious for kids. It could get very, very bad. And so while on the one hand, we're fighting the vaccination battle on COVID specifically, there's this other more general anti-vax thing that is beneath the surface. And we've heard from some, look at the interviews we've seen from Trump rallies where parents say, well, it's not just the COVID vaccine. I'm getting my kids off of all of these vaccines, or sometimes they say they're injections. They're not, strictly speaking, vaccines. This could get very bad very quickly. And we should be paying close attention to the numbers from all over the world. We'll have more about this story on our Instagram. Make sure you're following us there at David Pakman Show. We'll take a quick break. We'll look at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We'll look at a few other things. Be right back.